I'm Frank and Xi. Welcome back to The Wave. To enhance the country's resilience in sustainability, gender equality, and MSMEs capability, an international organization aims to cooperate with the private sector to support significant efforts in the country. So joining me now is Country Manager for Thailand and Myanmar of International Finance Corporation, Yuan Xu, to discuss the role of IFC in Thailand with me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
And many thanks for your time too. So first question we have to ask, what has IFC addressed in the country in terms of those challenges that you cooperate with private sector?
Well, I think in Thailand, right? Thailand is a very typical high middle income country.
Yeah.
So for us as an international organization, the priority in the country is really try to promote country to grow more sustainably and also to address the climate challenge that is facing global south. And hence, if I look at my priorities in Thailand, that really aligns with the whole World Bank Group's vision, which is eliminate extreme poverty and promote sharing prosperity in a livable planet.
Yeah.
And I think this livable planet is very important, right? Because that means it should have the right infrastructure, it should have the right measures to address the climate change, it should have the things that enable particular people at the bottom of the pyramid to have a decent life, right? So Thailand, as I just mentioned, is a high middle income country. And when we come to this combat against climate change and also look at how we can share prosperity to more people, right? Middle income country then matters a lot, given the size of economy and also the size of population. That is where our efforts can really move the needles, right? And also to show to maybe the less developing countries how things could be done in a different way.
So you talk about, of course, those challenges there on the ground, the difficulties that actually middle-income countries have to come forward to overcome. So what's the role of IFC here, of course, in Thailand? You cooperate with private sector, many big companies to address this issue you just talked about.
Well, the role of IFC is really, we want to share the knowledge. Right? Because we are a multinational organization, so we have operations across 100 plus countries. We have seen how things are done in a different part of the world, and also unlike maybe many so-called consultancy, right? When I talk about sharing knowledge, we actually put our own balance sheet to test out, right? To see whether this kind of a new technology works or this kind of a new solution works, right? Through putting our skin in the game and see the result and also learn the lessons. So that's our positioning in the market. So because Thailand is a very different market in the way you have very ample domestic financing, right? You have very strong domestic financial institutions. You also have pretty deep capital market. So how those leading companies choose to work with us is definitely go beyond financing. It's really about we sharing the knowledge we learn, and also we work with them together to help them build the capacity to achieve their goals for the future, right? And I'm actually quite impressed by how many Thai companies are already officially committed to much higher climate, targets or sustainability targets. So that's our role, and that is how we operate and develop our program here.
Let's get deeper there. So what's the achievement? What's the example that you want to deliver the message to our audience that actually, for example, of course, you work with many big retailers in the society. Some banks that you work together to promote all the values.
So in Thailand we had made several firsts, right? We work with commercial banks to promote green and blue financing, right? So we did our first blue bond with TTB. And then we also did another blue bond with the Bay, right? Yeah. And also we did the following up a green bond, which targeting at promoting like EV adoptions, right? And these are financial intermediaries is actually very important for IFC because we cannot do a lot of direct lending in the country, right? We don't have so much resources. Yeah. And when we say we want to reach out to more MSMEs, we have to work through the financial intermediary, whether it's commercial bank or the NBFIs, right? And then we also did our first blue bond with Indorama Venture, right? Yeah. And that is support them to increase the recycling feedstock. And that is very important because you can always say, oh, everybody have to do more, but you need to have manufacturers who is willing to take the capex and change their manufacturing process and make the product available. So, and with CPN, right? CPN has a very high sustainability and climate commitment, right? They already part of the global reporting initiative. They have to set up their own pathway towards Paris target, and also they set up their sustainability financing framework. So by working with them, we're hoping also to help them build the capacity to achieve all these performance targets that they already announced to the market. And also maybe we can work with them to find out new sustainability performance targets. And so, for example, like on the gender side, right, because they employ a lot of female workers. Retail is very important to Thailand, right? That is where you create a lot of jobs, and through the local procurement, that also reach out to the more communities.
I think what you said is very, very important examples there, because of course we do not have unlimited resources, but we use our limited power to create infinite impact in the society. And you talk about sustainability, gender equality, inclusion of women in the labor force there are very important to cooperate with these retailers, commercial banks, and of course using this financial intermediary to create this impact.
And on the financial intermediary, we also recently work with Montai Capital, right? Yes. So this is one of the largest listed non-bank financial institution, right? And they are the kind of the company have the reach to the every corner maybe in Thailand, right? These are really the bottom of the pyramid population, right? And the facility we did with them, the first one is in the gender facility, right? Really targeting at women borrowers. And then we also participated in their bond issuance in the Singapore, right? Which is a sustainability linked bond, and we helped them come up with a framework. So in the end, I always say everything can do better, right? But you have to be willing to commit to do that. And when I select partners, it's very important to see that willingness to commit to do better in the future. And as you said, resources are limited, right? As a multilateral, we are not supposed to come here and crowd out the Thai banks or Thai financings. The whole idea is that we want to show to the market. It's not like when you try to achieve all these sustainability goals or climate goals, it's not a good business, right? We want to show them you can also do good by doing better in those aspects.
Yeah, that's a very good sentence there. Doing good by doing better. Of course, we talk about Thailand, and you have experience actually in the region too.
Yes.
So what's your insights about the comparison between Thailand and other markets in this region? As in, of course, in Thailand, we talk about this issue about sustainability, women inclusion. How about other cities, other countries? What are different strategies implemented in these markets?
Well, actually, beyond this region, I also work in Africa. So I think, look, Thailand is a very representative high middle income country example, right? Because your per capita GDP has been around $8,000 for maybe 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you look around the region, many countries are just moved from low income country to low middle income country, right? For example, the countries I worked for 5 years, Philippines, their per capita GDP now is just over $3,000, right? And they have a growing population.
Yeah.
Well, Thailand, you are not growing population.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the challenge. I think you have a common challenge, which is a climate, right? Because climate challenge matters to every single emerging market,
Yeah.
right? With all the higher frequency of climate disasters, people have to be more aware of the possible loss, right? Because it's not just about, do climate, do green, I do some renewables. I mean, a lot of the things now come to the attention is the loss, right? How we can do things differently to minimize the loss. And when the loss happened, that hurt the lower income people most, right? Because they're most vulnerable. And I think in a way, even for countries, right? When you go to the low income pocket, you're much more vulnerable because you have less resources to rebuild when disaster hits you, right? So I think, for Philippines, they are having maybe bigger challenge compared with Thailand, also because of a national endowment, right? They still have to import a lot of rice, right? So, which is a staple food in the country, right? They have to import energy. So that put more pressures in the country in terms of your foreign currency and so on and so forth. And of course, they have maybe less arable land proportionally because it's all the islands. And hence that also create challenges in terms of infrastructure, right? Because you have all these islands, how you can connect them in terms of transport infrastructure, also like the power grid and so on and so forth. Well, and then the population, you have a bigger size of low-income people, right? And many of them may not even bankable at this point of time. So how you can reach out to them. So I think it's more challenging in my perspective because of they are more vulnerable. Right? In addition to climate, they have earthquake type, also volcano, right?
Yeah.
So, well, Thailand on the other side, you have a different natural endowment. You actually have pretty strong manufacturing sector compared with other peer middle income countries. Yeah. You have a very strong agribusiness, right? You are self-sufficient in terms of food, which is very important. Right? It's a natural hedging against the other import you want, and you import a lot of energy. And then you have very good tourism industry, right? With good culture of hospitality and also pretty decent infrastructure, right? So I think the challenging or opportunity for Thailand is a bit different from those much lower middle income country. For Thailand, the question is how you can become high income country, right? How you can grow faster, how you can better transform yourself to make sure your core business, like the manufacturer sector, your tourism, your agribusiness can stay competitive going forward, right? Because you also have a lot of export, right? You want to make sure those markets will accept your goods. You won't be affected by, maybe a more strict climate regulations, so on and so forth.
You talk about, of course, Thailand is aiming to become a high-income country here. So during your tenure here, of course, you talked about earlier that IFC cooperated with so many companies there, big companies, big heads here. So what's the challenge moving forward in the eyesight of IFC in terms of collaboration, in terms of pushing Thailand forward towards your goals, as in sustainability and those goals we talk about? What's the challenge here, or what's the change you want to see in the market?
Yeah, I think if we talk about how to move Thailand forward to high middle income country and also to address all the climate transition, whether it's opportunity or challenges, right? The problem or the issues we are facing are not unique to Thailand. I think it's universal, right?
Yeah.
It's even the same for the developed countries.
Yeah.
It's how you can adjust the policy, right? And to enable or to stimulate investment, and also how the government and private sector work together to make the investment, in the right place and the right time.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about, there is a huge investment gap, right? To address climate change or to address digital transformation or to address any global issues. And we always wanted to mobilize more financing, right? And for government, because you're collecting taxing, right? So there was public goods. But for private sector, it's about bankability, right?
Yes.
And that means that goes aloud then to the policy environment, right? And to also do you have the other basic enabling infrastructure in place that can make the risk and award, acceptable and balanced for private investment.
Yeah, this is what we always talk about: stability, infrastructural support there, the quality in the society are keys to growing those private investment on the ground. Talk about bankability here in Thailand. So what's the initiative of IFC right now in Thailand to push this forward?
Bankability project, we just talk about, policy means a lot, right? To create bankability project pipeline, because that gave private investors certainty about things in the future.
Yep.
So in Thailand, we work with the other development partners, including the World Bank, our sister institution, JICA, and ADB, to work with key government agencies, for example, like Bank of Thailand, because they are the regulator of all the commercial banks. So we have been working with them on the taxonomy, the green taxonomy. So we finished the phase 1, and we're expecting to finish phase 2 very soon, which will cover all the major sectors, economic sectors, right? And that will give the commercial banks more clarity about what it means by green project, and hence how can they make better decisions for the future asset underwriting, right? And we are also going to support them on the future implementation. And then another example would be, we are working with Bangkok Metropolitan Authority to help them map out to achieve their 2030 climate goal, right? What are the investment that is needed, and what would be the associated cost, right? And that could enable the governor and his team maybe to make a decision on the priorities and also the sequencing, and also decide which are the projects that should be funded by the government funding, and which are the projects that maybe should be open for private financing. And these are I don't think all of this will solve the problem, but I think these are the solid baby steps forward.
So this is the effort with governmental organizations in Thailand. So, so do you think this project, like working with Bank of Thailand and BMA, really can push forward for example, green transition, for example, sustainability, and the ability that IFC can give analysis of investment, the direction of investment, which need to be correct because we do not have a lot of resources on the ground. So you think that can really work?
Well, I think that the taxonomy is a critical component to move to that direction, right? Because without taxonomy, then it's very hard to define what you want to achieve, right? So when you get the taxonomy ready, then the next step will go to how you implement it, right? So it will not be the silver bullet to solve the problem, but it is very important first step to move towards that direction,
Yeah.
right? And also on this climate investment opportunity diagnosis we did for Bangkok municipality, it will not, again, it's not something like we already tell them how to do the things, but it's a good way, right? You kind of show things in a format that is more visible, maybe much easier for the decision makers to make their choices.
Yeah, so silver lining here, rather than the direct bullet, but silver lining here to guide the authority to put the investment in the right place.
I think, to facilitate, to help them.
Facilitate. And you also are the country manager for Myanmar too. I think this is one of the key issues that we always see in Southeast Asia and in ASEAN in terms of investment, in terms of economic growth. So what's the IFC initiative right now? Because of course we see those ongoing crises in Myanmar. So how to push forward?
Well, I think Myanmar is quite a special case, right? And there are not much news about the country, but the situation is not getting better. And given the current context, I don't see much in the terms of the new activities, at least for IFC, we can do, right? And we really just focusing on supporting our existing client there. And of course, our sister institution, World Bank, has been working to provide humanitarian support to the most vulnerable population.
So of course, this ongoing crisis still happen there, and we're waiting for the situation wind down in a day. But right now, we cannot do too much. Of course, humanitarian support is the primary issue, primary measure that we can do. Okay, thank you for your time today to share, of course, your insight, your experience in Thailand and in the region. Thank you so much. So, of course, Ms. Yuan Xu, the country manager for Thailand and Myanmar of International Finance Corporation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
More news to come.